So welcome back to another special episode of Midnight Decoy Noise, where we're covering more Am I the Antagonist stories, but a very special Am I the Antagonist story, because I'm doing a follow-up on my other fake story about Am I the Antagonist for being honest about my friend's new girlfriend, and I did that story, and I'm going to write a follow-up story on Am I the Antagonist, which is from a different perspective, to see if Reddit is very consistent with their feedback, and I'm doing the story that is Am I the Antagonist for humiliating my best friend for keeping a secret from me. So as always, if you haven't already, please subscribe down below and put the notifications on, and also give me feedback as to what kind of stories you'd like me to do next, because I'm just writing fake stories online to see if anybody will, one, call me out for having fake stories, and two, if I can prove that Reddit is just one giant hypocrite. But let's go ahead and just kind of recap that original story, which was Am I the Antagonist for being honest about my friend's new girlfriend, and it was about a bro that isn't very well spoken, that I really wanted people to kind of hate on him, and it was just about a OP, which is, you know, me writing the story saying, hey, my friend, I've known him for 5 years, he started dating this girl, and actually I've been with her, I know a lot of other guys have been with her, so he just wanted to let his friend know, like, hey, I don't know if you know about it, but, you know, I've slept with your girlfriend, so maybe you want to know, maybe you don't. He was just trying to be a bro, but doesn't know how to say it, like, well, and doesn't know how to be, like, very, what's the word? He doesn't know how to be gentle about it. He just was just like ham-fisting his way through, like, hey, dude, hey, bro, I don't know if you should be with that girl or whatever. So, you know, it was about the OP and his friend kind of arguing and the girl not liking him, and then this guy online, my fictitious character, got blasted online. You're the antagonist. You called your friends, your girlfriends, promiscuous. How dare you? You're the antagonist majorly. And so everybody online and their mother hated on OP right here because they just really don't like the idea that if me personally, if I was dating a girl, I would just want to know. I would want to know the heads up if my friends have already been with them too. Not just say like, oh, we're going to shame her or I'm not going to date them. I would just like to be able to process that information right off the bat, as opposed to much later on if you're getting married or if you're having a baby together. It just seems like, oh yeah, why is everybody holding a secret, keeping this secret away from me? So, you know, I personally would want that myself. So I wrote the next story right here to see if, you know, Reddit was consistent with, oh yeah, this is right and this is wrong, or if they were going to be hypocritical and just saying, hey, Reddit always sides with the victim. So let's go ahead and get into my follow-up story from the other perspective. So this is Am I the Antagonist for humiliating my best friend for keeping a secret from me? And I usually hide the idea that they called me the antagonist or not, but I guess that's there. So I, a 26-year-old female, have been dating Mike, a 30-year-old male, for over 2 years now. Everything's been beyond amazing, and as in he's even brought up what my ideal proposal would be like, but not as far as looking at the wedding rings yet. Well, as our local restrictions eased up, we started a chill little get-together to support a friend's bar reopening, which was super exciting because it would mean this is the first time I could see my best friend from college, Hannah, a 27-year-old female, in over 3 months. As we get to talking, I tell how during our lockdown how well it was going with Mike and how he even brought up engagement. I thought Hannah would be ecstatic for me, but she suddenly got really serious, and she dropped the bomb on me. Hannah and Mike used to hook up, and apparently a lot. And before this, Hannah never even mentioned she knew Mike well at all. I knew they worked together, but honestly, I would expect my best friend to bring up the fact that they slept together in the 2 years that she's known me and Mike have lived together. Not my proudest moment, but I exploded at her. In front of everyone we know, I yelled at her for how crappy of a friend she was to keep this from me, and how messed up on my end, this was messed up on my end, but I brought up her rather promiscuous past as well. She shot back with maybe I should have expected this, as Mike has been with most other girls she knew as well, which really stung, so I cried, shouted at her some more, and left. I've been keeping as much distance as I reasonably can from Mike as I process this, but I honestly put this more on Hannah than Mike. Hannah knew that I was dating Mike even early on before we became official, as I would obsessively talk about him. She had plenty of time to tell me that she knew him as well. Mike only knew I was close with Hannah after we've been dating for months, so I really didn't hold it against him for not telling me that they had been together, but altogether this sucks and is making me reconsider my relationship with both Hannah and Mike. Me and Hannah still haven't talked since. My friend group is split on this. Some say she had reasons to keep this from me, saying it wasn't her secret to tell, but the others are telling me I was right to be mad at her and understood why I made a scene. But am I the antagonist here? So, as always, we have to kind of take this to Decoy Court-ish or whatever, because it's my story, I wrote it. But I mean, here's the thing, is I was trying to bait them into the idea that this is a mirror image of an alternate universe of that first story where it's like, okay, here's from the guy saying, hey, right off the bat, I told my friend I had been with her. Do what you want with that information. Now, this is the flip side where it's like, okay, so this is a girl going through the situation of what if the best friend didn't tell them right off the bat that they had been together? And now later on, they're getting engaged and now she has to process the information. So how would people think about that? We're going to take a short break right now. And I want you to tell me what you think. How do you think Reddit is going to react to this situation? Obviously, you saw the score, but are they going to be the same way they were with that original story? Where like, hey, man, bro, dude, you suck. Or are they going to be like, oh my god, how come they wouldn't share that information with you? They're so terrible. So take a short break, earn yourself the Decoy coin by giving me what you think down below. Let's go ahead and get to those top comments right now to see what everybody on the internet was thinking. So the top reply was, sorry OP, but I think you're the antagonist here. Though not a huge one. Mike's the bigger antagonist. It was reasonable for Hannah to expect that Mike would let you know since you're the one dating him. Did you and Mike ever discuss your romantic or intimate histories with each other? How did this not come up? Even after Mike realized one of his former flings was your BFF. I think Hannah fulfilled her obligation to inform you when it was clear to her that you were at the engagement phase and you obviously hadn't been told. So here's someone that was very consistent with the last reply, which was surprising to me, the idea that they got 80 points. But here's the other thing that I guess I'll point out right now is the first one from that situation didn't do well. I think it ends up at like 20 upvotes, but it had 80% upvoted. It didn't do well compared to some other fake stories. This one is sitting at 0 upvotes and it's at 46% upvoted. So it's like people really just didn't like this story. They didn't want to see it. They didn't want to hear it. And the idea is this person got 80 upvotes and the post itself is sitting at 0. It shows me everything. The idea that people just don't like people knowing about history. At no point in time did either one of these people say they did it out of shame. Like Hannah telling this person, hey, just so you know, we had been together until she got attacked. Then she kind of blasted them, Mike or whatever. But the idea is the other one, it wasn't about saying like, hey, look, your girlfriend, she's like this or that. It was just like, hey, look, we've been together. And I wrote him in a bad way where he was just kind of ham-fisting his way through there saying like, I don't know how to say that we've been together, that we slept together, whatever, but you know, yeah, we hooked up. Like he was just being a jerk about it. But it just seems that Reddit as a whole doesn't want people to know about people's history. And I feel like I would want to know, but let's go ahead and read the reply to that saying, this. She mentions Mike didn't even know she and Hannah were close until months into the relationship, which also strikes me as odd and leads me to believe he did know but was hoping their past wouldn't be brought up. So now they're trying to blame, it's weird, like they're just trying to blame Mike now. Like they're just saying like, okay, no matter what, the guy, he's wrong. Where's he at? Where is he at in the story? There he is, blasting. the droids from Phantom Menace. There they are. Get them. So the next reply says, you're the antagonist. Your friend does not owe you her intimate history. It has nothing to do with your relationship, but your boyfriend and your being super entitled. Shaming them on top makes you the antagonist. If anything, you could be mad at your boyfriend, but this is between the two of you, not your platonic friend. What was she supposed to say? I slept with him, by the way. Stay away from him. There was no way to make that known without making it awkward, and frankly, it sounds like you're the kind of person to find any excuse to try to vilify her no matter what she did with this information, which, again, you're not entitled to. She should drop you as a friend. You don't sound like a good friend at all. So, everybody's getting blasted, and here's the thing, is like, I feel like I'm not the bad guy in this when I say I would like to know if somebody I knew had been with a person. I'm not saying I'm automatically going to break up with that person and not date them, but I was just like, that would just be some sort of information that I would prefer to have so I can make an educated decision on it. Everybody just wants everybody to be in the dark in this, and I you know, you don't want to dox anybody, but I would be very curious to know the posters of these two top comments and the majority of the voters that I've had. Where are they from? Are they from like large cities where like, you know, Tinder and hookup communities are pretty vast, and I don't even know how to phrase it, but just the idea that like, you know, are they from small towns where yeah, everybody's kind of hooked up with each other, so you just kind of keep that information subtle? Or is it like where you can literally sit on Tinder for like a half an hour swiping people and you're probably not gonna see any duplicates from anybody your friend, you know what I mean, that sort of thing, where it's just like, yeah, the dating pool is much larger, so it's uncommon for me to meet a random at a coffee bean and then my friend have had met them as well somewhere else. Like it's just, you don't often like have that. But I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to figure out a way to justify myself, but who knows. So the next reply is, A friend doesn't owe OP her history, but as a friend, she does owe her certain respect and integrity, because that's what all relationships are, built on whether it's for platonic, familiar, or romantic. And if I was a true friend, Hannah owed her at least the truth, especially had they known each other for longer and are supposed to have the strong bond. It's simple: I know you like him, but I just wanted to get this out of the way. I know it's going to be kind of awkward, but me and him used to hook up. At the beginning, you would have done the job, but no, Hannah decided to drop the bomb in public after her friend announces that she was thinking of marriage. Does that not strike as odd? And this is exactly my point that I'm trying to cut across. As someone that agrees with me, they didn't get much upvotes, but it just seems that I feel like someone I just started dating maybe a month ago doesn't really owe me any information. They don't need to tell me all their history. It'd be weird for me to ask that anyway. But a good friend, like someone that in the original story, the guy knew he knew the other guy for 5 years. You would think that their bond would be like, hey, he should probably tell me. And this one was saying, hey, we're 28 years old and I've known Hannah since college. So it's like they've known each other almost a decade or something. So it's like, you'd think that they would want that, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what kind of friends they would be what kind of friend I would be if I knew I'd been with somebody and just didn't share it. But maybe I'm just the massive antagonist here. But somebody only got one upvote aside on their own, saying, I agree. I think Hannah should have said something before OP and Mike got together. I also think Mike should have spoken up. Honestly, I think everyone sucks here, which was kind of the way that I wanted to write the story, is everyone sucks here. No one's the good guy. But let's go ahead and read one more top comment saying, everyone sucks here. Both of them for hiding it from you for so long, and for you pushing all the blame on her, but this is a secret they both shared. I understand in the heat of the moment we say things and we are human, but you decided that this was okay to not tell you, but she wasn't? That's a little one-sided and unfair to both of them. If he was also willing to lie about it, how is it more important to your friend's fault than his? Both of them are trying to blame here, and I hope you come to terms with that, because this might teach him it's okay to withhold information from you. That being said, your friend does not have to tell you everything about her past, but your boyfriend probably should have stepped up and told you that he slept with more than one person, if that was important or a deal breaker to you. This is very true. I think that this is a pretty solid top to bottom. A couple of typographical errors, but that's not a big deal. And that's essentially how I wanted to write it. I didn't want to write a very clear cut black and white, like this is the good guy, this is the bad guy. These are all I want my Am I the Antagonist post to do well on the internet. So you kind of have to interject some controversy and some back and forth with this gray area, which it seemed like that person picked up on, but it just doesn't seem that. I personally thought that everybody was going to blast the friend, like how come she didn't bring it up earlier, which is the exact opposite of that original post. But I kind of got more of a different discovery, as that they just want to blast the guy in these stories. So let's go ahead and read a couple controversial posts where they said, not the antagonist. Hannah chose this moment in public, in front of people you both know, to tell you about her history with Mike. When people do this crap in front of a group of people, it's because they're hoping to force the other person into behaving the way they'd like. In this case, she was likely hoping to keep you from getting emotional. She and Mike are both antagonists for keeping this secret. She's an antagonist for telling you the way she did. She could also have waited until the end of the night and messaged you. She could have called you the next day. Instead, she went the way of trying to control your reaction. And this 100% is, I feel like this is valid. It's kind of a symptom, not the original, I didn't do this on purpose to write it. I just writing it in the idea that it was at the bar and it was in a public setting, like breaking up at a fancy restaurant, so they can kind of control the reaction. But it is true where they're saying oh yeah, she wasn't a good friend because she didn't do it in private, she didn't do it initially, she didn't do it this way. So this is something that I thought was going to happen, but it's controversial. It's a controversial comment, so obviously it wasn't the general consensus of Reddit. But let's go ahead and read one more controversial comment saying, OP says, Hannah lied to me for 2 years. This is totally her fault. Mike lied to me for 1.5 years, which is totally okay. Not the antagonist, but they both lied to you. And here's the thing, is someone that agrees that OP is in the right for being upset that they kept a secret from her, which is the exact opposite of what we read in that other post with the bro poster. They're trying to give a story, but just the idea that I wrote it on purpose that OP's emotional, where she's like, oh, I don't blame Mike as much. They're both jerks for not telling her, but the idea that we're trying to make it so people kind of second guess their judgment, because OP's getting emotional. She's not really expressing herself clearly, in the sense that everybody is not good to her, but she's only going to blame the friend because the friend owes me more, but I'm trying to stick up for the boyfriend, that sort of thing. So it's like nobody really picked up on it as well as I thought it was, and maybe I'm just proving myself wrong. A common thing that I saw on DecoyNoise as I did all these Am I the Antagonist videos was people oftentimes would side with the victim as opposed to who's justified or who's right or who's being a jerk when they don't need to be a jerk. And I tried to write these two stories, you know, right beside each other with enough space where it didn't overlap, where people still had the other idea in their head, but just the idea that it didn't really prove what I thought it was. It did prove that people, you know, Reddit just kind of, they don't like seeing stories of educating somebody on their history. They think it's they want to vilify anybody that says any like, you know, little tiny inkling of, hey, they've slept with somebody else, so you need to judge them on that. And that's not really what I was trying to do, but that's what they all picked up on. Like, how dare you? How dare you? You are double the antagonist if you ever bring up anybody's history, because one, you don't deserve to know. Two, that's none of your business. And three, shut up. Like, that's how I kind of feel about the whole situation. But let me know if you like this type of story, because these ones don't do as well. But I mean, if you like this story, like me writing fake stories, let me know down below by giving me a nice subscribe down below. Maybe sharing my video, because as you know, in Midnight Decoy Noise, I can't be as animated, or I can't do as many videos. YouTube just blasts me out of orbit and I don't get any views anymore. I don't get any shares anymore. So if you like it and you know someone that would enjoy this content, make sure you share it with them as well. But if you want to see me do other stuff, you know, watch all my videos like you are right now, and then go over to DecoyNoise.com and maybe asking me something on the little questionnaire, because I'll do a Ask Me Anything video once I hit 3,000 subscribers. Or you can just submit something that on the r/DecoyNoise, a story you want me to cover, or something that's like, you know, a suggestion as to what next fake story I should do. I'm down for anything, because I still like to do videos. I like to kind of connect with you guys. So as always, if you don't want to do any of that stuff, it's too much work, just go ahead and put this on autoplay and watch the next episode of Decoy Noise coming up next.